Shalom, shalom, shalom. Before this started, I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Rakakdash, double honors to the elders and apostles, the great millstone of whom I learned from. This is your brother Adah. Look at this. Look at this, look at this.
Just out of a mystery in the oil markets and the suspicion that some people are getting very rich by trading on inside information. In the minutes before President Trump's announcement Monday that the U.S. would postpone strikes against Iranian energy targets, traders suddenly bet hundreds of millions of dollars on oil prices falling, which is exactly what they did. To help us understand, Jill Schlesinger is here, CBS News business analyst. Jill, why does this stand out and why should people care?
Well, I think the most important thing and what stands out is that we saw a surge of trading activity. So if you look at this, at 649 to 651, there is this circle there. Yeah. That's a big jump up in activity. And then soon after, we see the price of oil at the top, and then it drops by 10%, literally in minutes. 15 minutes before this non-public information is out.
So somebody might have known something a little too early.
It does appear that way. And why we care.
That's exactly what it is. And you're seeing the hypocrisy of the so-called white man. You're seeing the pride of the so-called white man. And Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai is lifting up his skirt. He's showing you. And then the hypocrisy of the public for them seeing this and then saying some dumb shit like, we got to vote somebody else in or something quirky, when the only solution, the only correct solution is what prophecy says needs to happen and will happen, which is the complete destruction of this race of people, their complete destruction of them being in rulership. That's the only way, because they've been doing this shit. It's just now all out in the open.
About this is that is not considered public information, and someone seems to know it, and that's illegal, Tony. I mean, that's the issue, is that this is essentially insider trading.
So is it policed? What do we do about it?
The thing about insider trading is we've known about it forever. We have so many different ways to do it. It's usually triggered by this kind of trading activity, and we get an investigation. But right now, I don't think we're going to get a big investigation. The Trump administration says light on regulation, and there's not a lot of funding for folks at any of these regulatory bodies. So I think for the people at home, it kind of feels like it's not a level playing field, because this looks like it is not.
All right, Joe. Thank you very much.
Just before President Trump posted about his supposed negotiations with Iran on Monday, traders made hundreds of millions of dollars of extra bets on oil futures. This looks like Donald Trump giving his mates insider information so they can make themselves richer, while his illegal war in Iran makes everyone else poorer. This looks like corruption of the very worst kind. Does the Prime Minister share my fear that Trump is making his war decisions based on what enriches himself and his friends rather than what makes peace in the Middle East?
These are other Edomites. These are other wicked men. These are other rich and powerful men, lower on the totem pole, but nevertheless, they're still Edomites, and they're just as wicked, and they're not getting any. They're not getting any of the money. And not only they're not getting the money, the moves that Trump's making, right? It's all prophecy, but the moves that Trump's making is showing them that we're about to go into a war that's going to cause everybody else to lose a fuckload of money, and they have to live crazy while this motherfucker's making tons of money. What do you guys think is going to be? What do you think is going to happen, man?
Prime Minister, can I thank him for his verdict? At least he's read the law that she obviously hasn't read. But Mr. Speaker, in relation to the traders, we've seen the activity there. What I can say is that all of my decisions are based in the best interests of our country, and that's why I've decided that we will not get dragged into the war, unlike the leader of the opposition, and I've decided we will act in collective self-defense of ourselves and our allies. And so I comment on my actions, and they're the principles behind my actions.
Just before...
If you thought the SEC or the DOJ was actually going to investigate what happened yesterday with the obvious market manipulation, insider trading, when traders profited hundreds of millions of dollars within 20 minutes, guess again. Let me tell you about this woman, Margaret Ryan. She resigned last...
Another Edomite, another white person who's in a position of authority. Look what happens.
Last week from her position. Abruptly. No one knew why. Until today. She was the director of Division of Enforcement for the SEC. She had been in the role only 6 months. She investigated fraud cases, insider trading cases. She wanted to investigate and pursue cases regarding Donald Trump and his inner circle. Because as we have seen over the last year, there have been countless times where we have seen massive market manipulation, insider trading, right before Donald Trump's big announcements. But the SEC chair, Paul Atkins, and other Republican appointees told her not to. We want to investigate what happened with the tariffs last year, where traders were turning hundreds of thousands of dollars into millions by placing trades right before big Donald Trump announcements. Donald Trump Jr. investing into Universal Machines right before becoming a partner of the U.S. government. Same thing with Eric Trump and a drone company that's used in this war. The trades that involved Intel. And I've said this before, but it's worth repeating. Like, this is the most corrupt administration we've ever seen, and it's not even close. Not only is Donald Trump profiting, he's made billions since he became president. Oh, but he's not taking a salary. But his sons, his family, his close friends, corruption all over the place. If you thought the SEC or
15 minutes before that Donald Trump post, there was a very big amount of trading volume. Very big. In fact, actually, when you're looking at that amount of volume, that spike, that was the biggest trading volume that we saw that day. We're starting...
Look at this shit. Look at the difference. I don't know how to read that shit, but 15 minutes before Trump makes his announcement, that little tall skinny line, when you go all the way over, all those other lines, that's all day long. And then right there you get that spike. It's because that group of people knew what Trump was going to do, and they put all their money right there, and they made a whole bunch. All right?
Yeah, just at 8 o'clock in the morning, we're going through to that moment of the Donald Trump post. Relatively quiet volumes, not much going on in the market, and then all of a sudden that. And if you're wondering, okay, maybe this was just a one-off, it was someone who made a lucky bet, have a look not just at this. So this is WTI, it's one measure, the US measure of oil. Have a look at Brent, which is the kind of the European, seen as the international measure of oil. Again, the same thing. Donald Trump makes his post, flurry of activity, lots of people there. But look at that. Again, 15 minutes before that Donald Trump post, a very big trade. Now, it's unclear whether it's just an individual or whether it's a kind of group of people, but what you do know from just imputing what the potential value, the notional value of those trades just on oil would be, it is staggering amounts of money, life-changing amounts of money, $580 million. 15 minutes before...
Just before...
The Financial Times just reported that $580 million worth of oil bets were made 15 minutes before Donald Trump said that Iran talks were going well. The insider trading and the corruption is just thrown in our faces. Put people behind bars, prosecute people, hold literally anyone accountable. This is why Democrats, and this is why people that are against MAGA and conservatives are so frustrated. Because the corruption, the fraud, the abuse is just right in front of everyone's faces. Nothing is ever done about it. They're stealing from you, MAGA person who's watching this video, who's going to be in my comments posting something. They're stealing from you.
Let's get the precepts and we'll be done. Short, super short. Just got to see the hypocrisy of this specific group of people. All right? Let's just get a couple... I will lift up thy skirt. I will lift up thy skirt. I will lift up thy skirt. And show the nations. And show the nations. Let's see if that pulls it up. Should be... No, I will lift, I will, here, do this, I will, dang it, I will show the nations the nakedness. Man. So here's one of them, Nahum 3:5. Behold, I am against thee, saith Yahweh of hosts, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will show the nations thy nakedness, and the kingdoms thy shame. Okay? So you see them stealing. You see the Epstein files. Look, the Epstein files. Let me see Epstein files, just whatever. This is same.
Okay, friends, I'm hoping one of your beautiful brains can help me out because Google is not helping. Here's some weird photos.
Same race of people. Okay? Same powerful race of people going untouched, right? But we're seeing everything they're doing.
The Epstein files that you probably haven't seen before.
Grown Edomite white man with a whole bunch of random underage white girls. And they're all well dressed. Have you noticed that? Where are these particular groups of women, young underage, where are they coming from? They're being offered to him by other rich families as their offerings. This is how they get down. These kids, this is a different level of the trafficking. These are like offerings. They didn't just go into some country, because you can see the body language of the girls, how comfortable they are with him. He doesn't have these particular ones like in a cage, beating them. They do that to other ones. These ones have just been like offered to him.
So this is an email from Howard Lutnick to Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, Howie.
December 19th, 2012.
And he said 2005?
Over 7 years since that alleged massage table walkout.
Wow.
Hi, Jeff. We are landing in St. Thomas early Saturday afternoon and planning to head over to St. Bart/Anguilla on Monday at some point. Where are you located? As in, what is the exact location for my captain? Does Sunday evening for dinner sound good? I have another couple, Michael and Mary Lerman, with me on my boat.
This is the wildest part.
Whoa.
Right here.
And each of us has 4 children. Doesn't list their names. I want to point that out. He says 2 16s, 2 14s, a 13, a 12, an 11, and a 7-year-old. I remind you.
So those are not. So it's you got to understand. Those are not their children. Those are their offerings. Their possessions. They're gonna fuck these kids up. They're gonna rape them. They're gonna torture them. They're gonna drink their blood. They're gonna sacrifice them. That he's talking about these children like they're cattle to this dude by telling you how old they are. Doesn't say nothing about their names. Those are not their own offspring, okay?
This is 4 years after Jeffrey Epstein was convicted. How this guy has a job today?
And this dude's freaking out, but you got to understand who released these emails. Same race of people, same adult group of people in the law, in the law enforcement, and they're not going to enforce the law on these people, okay?
What I'm about to say.
To an ABC News exclusive.
It just keeps, you're seeing it all. And then at the same time, this same race of people is going to war with everybody around the fucking world. They're stealing hundreds of billions of dollars. They're sacrificing children. They're raping children. It's the same race of people, and that race of people is telling the world that all the black and brown people on the planet Earth are bad, and they got to do something, and that they're terrorists, and that they just went into Venezuela. They just went in. Cuba right now is starving. They just shot some drug dealer dude in Mexico because he's supposed to be bad. So Mexico is in an uproar. Motherfucking Venezuela got all their oil stolen. They're doing shit to fucking Cuba, and now they're fucking with Iran. And they want to fucking kill Iran because Iran's trying to stand up to them. And the hypocrisy of the so-called white Christians and black Christians in this nation, because of white fucking Jesus, which he doesn't exist, They can't fucking say shit. And the only people in this nation who are correctly talking about these people are the Hebrew Israelites of GMS and everyone else that follows that same doctrine. It shall enter into the house of the thief. It's talking about it shall enter into the house, enter into the house of the thief, the house of the thief. This is talking about the so-called white man. It's talking about chariots, UFOs. Okay? Zechariah chapter 5, verse 1. I'm going to read it down. Then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll. What's this flying roll, you may ask?
Exclusive on the
UFOs. Let's UFO being shot by the hellfire, being shot by hellfire missile. Let me see, by hellfire missile. Let me see if we can still get that. This is a flying roll. That's a flying roll, you guys. That's what it's talking about. You got to understand. And so this is a threat to Esau. And this is what you call Inquisition. It's the Most High making Inquisition by allowing Esau to shoot one of his military members from heaven on purpose. All right, that was done on purpose.
This is when it zoomed out, so you can still see it traveling.
This is evidence against this race of people, because that rocket didn't hurt him, but it still shows you the lethality. It shows you the murderous nature of the so-called white man, and the fact that he's acting like he don't know what these are, but he's shooting at them. He knows exactly who these are. The higher you go up in his kingdom, he understands. Right here, look. Then I turned and lifted mine eyes up and looked, and behold, the flying roll. And he said unto me, this is the Most High, or an angel, speaking to the prophet Zechariah. And he said unto me, what seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits. A cubit is 1.5 feet. So that's what? What's 20 feet? That's 10. That's 20 feet. That's 30 feet in length. And the breadth of it, okay, so I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, so that's 30 feet. And the breadth thereof, 10 cubits. So that's 15 feet. So it's a 30 by 15 foot object that he sees flying in the sky. Then he said unto me, this is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth, for everyone that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side according to it, and everyone that sweareth falsely shall be cut off as soon as on this side according to it. I will bring it forth, saith Yahweh of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief. This is talking about the Edomites, you guys. This is a race of people. And you want to know, you want to see thief, you want more proof. You want more proof? Skull and crossbones. Skull and bones.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go on.
I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number 322. What do
Secret society?
So here you go.
Ever heard of Skull and Bones? Founded in 1830. Ever heard of...
What do you see? You see a bunch of fucking Edomite men. George Bush was one. His son was one. The vice president, the fucking dude that's married to the Wrigley's gum, fucking heiress is one. What is the skull and what's the symbol of the skull and bones, you guys? The pirates. What are pirates? Thieves. You put it all together, you get the so-called fucking white man. Let's get it. I don't want to leave, so hold on. I will bring it forth, saith Yahweh of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief, and into the house of him that sweareth falsely, that goes into them acting like they're Christians, using our Bible in their courthouse. Put your hand on the Bible, swear on the Bible, Do you swear to God to tell the truth, the whole truth? There's nothing in the Bible that says to do that. Whenever they do an inauguration for a president, he puts his hand on the Bible. It's all a fucking show. But it specifically points out the so-called fucking white man. You will know a tree by its fruits. I will bring it forth, saith Yahweh of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief, and into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name, and it shall remain in the midst of the house, and shall consume it with the timber thereof and the stones thereof. If you go into 2 Ezra chapter 13, and if you go into Revelation chapter 12, it talks about the exchange that's going to take place during the Battle of Armageddon. It's going to be Yahushai and the angels in UFOs fighting Esau and all of his drones and all of his laser weapons, and Esau is going to lose miserably. And that is the only way. That is the only way these motherfuckers are going to be made to stop, because nobody on earth can stop the so-called white man. And they're slowly being lured into a fight with the chariots of Yahweh. And you can see it right here. They're going to shoot at this guy. And this was all allowed to happen. Trust me. They did not catch this chariot off guard. It wasn't like, oh, what was that? I didn't know. No. He knew exactly what he was doing. And he let them hit them. And now he's going to
This is when it zoomed out.
He's going to go back report to the Most High, who already knows what's happening. This is all evidence against the so-called white man.
So you can still see it traveling. So, Mr. Knapp, do you have...
That bugged out motherfucker, bro. These pink bitches. They're sitting there looking at an aircraft that they can't bring down with their weapons, bro. But then they're going to act like they're talking about this thing, and they're still going to act like they don't know what's going on. It's all bullshit. They know exactly what's going on, bro.
Vinny, have you heard about events like this occurring? And what information might you have?
I have heard about events like this.
This was like the day before Charlie Kirk got shot. And then when Charlie Kirk got shot, the news only was talking about that. Like, you guys saw how fucking insane that circus was for like 2 or 3 straight months. They just barely stopped talking about that bitch, bro. This is bigger news than Charlie Kirk getting assassinated or murdered by his own race of people. This was literally the day of or the day before the Charlie Kirk shooting.
I have heard about this event. Jeremy Corbell and I talked about it in one of our episodes a while back. We did not have the video, though. There are servers where there's a whole bank of these kind of videos that Congress has not been allowed to see, that the public hasn't been allowed to see. Occasionally some of that stuff gets out in the wild and it comes our way. It should be going to you. The public should be seeing this stuff. And why you're not allowed to, I don't know. But that's a Hellfire missile smacking into that UFO and just bounced right off. And it kept going.
It kept going, and it looks like the debris was taken with it.
Yeah, what the hell is that?
Let's look at it one more time. But this is what's going to happen in Revelations 12. This is going to be the war of heaven, and it's going to be a whole bunch of these. And one the size of a mountain, completely obliterating the so-called white man's army. Right now, they're just collecting evidence. That's all they're doing.
Here we go. Different format. I pulled out just a little bit to show the Hellfire making contact with the UAP. This is a much different format. And we're going to zoom in a little bit closer, take a couple of looks at the Hellfire making impact. It does indeed impact what appears to be the back half of this unknown object flying off the coast of Yemen. Right there it makes impact. You can see it knocks it off course. And as you're going to see, somehow or another, right there following the impact, these 3 objects appear in the sky following the primary object right there. So the primary target turned into not only 1, but 4 targets now. There's 1, 2, 3, now 4. It survived the strike. And the gentleman that testified before Congress said, nothing that we have should have survived that strike. And it turned into 4, 3 smaller ones, and then the main primary one continued on. This one here turned out pretty good. You can see that these things are the same shape and same size. Look at that. And this one here started to glow for whatever reason, almost as if it had some sort of an energy field around it. Maybe it was some sort of a propulsion system. This one here started glowing, and then that one there started glowing. The smaller things you see are reflections off the top of the water. Those things definitely had density. Let me go back to that one right there. That one right there turned out pretty good. You can see those things clearly are the same shape. Those aren't random pieces of debris, guys.
You think Esau's not studying this shit, you guys? You think the so-called fucking white man doesn't have a lab somewhere where they're looking at all these videos? You don't think he's not doing that? You don't think he's not listening to the man of GMS explain in scripture what this stuff is? You can see them admitting that they know something about this stuff in their movies. These motherfuckers, the only way they get taken out and the only way they get stopped doing all this fucking fuckery that they're doing is when Yahushua is given the order by Yahweh to finally come and fucking put this fucker down, bro. Because it was Yahushua when he was Isaac that gave Esau the blessing of the sword. And it's going to be Yahushua in his final form, which is not like a man that's going to fucking not only take the sword from Esau, he's going to remove Esau from the position of heaven on the earth. These are your flying rolls, aka clouds, aka chariots. These are the hosts of heaven. These are the hosts of Yahweh, Yahweh Tazabawath, Yahweh Tazabawath, and they obey and do the bidding of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. They are not aliens. They're not these ugly creatures with big old heads and eyes that want to probe you. They are the left and right-handed powers of the Most High. Okay?
The frame came something else. It flew into the frame like this, and it shot a beam of light at the warhead, which is represented by my thumb here. Now, remember, all this stuff is flying at several thousand miles an hour. So this thing fires a beam of light at the warhead, hits it, and then this thing flies up like this. Meanwhile, we're all going like this, fires another beam of light, goes around like this, we're going like this, fires another beam of light, goes down like this, fires another beam of light, and then flies out the way it came in. And the warhead tumbles out of space. Now, I saw that. I don't give a goddamn what anybody else says about it. I saw that on film. Phil Class can kiss my ass. He wasn't there. I was. And when the lights came on, Major Mansman turned around and looked at me and said, "Were you guys screwing around up there?" And I said, "No, sir." And he said, "What was that?" And I said, "It looks to me like we got a UFO." The frame came.
See how they describe it? Non-human intelligence. It just sounds like very morbid. It sounds creepy. They're the hosts. They're the powers. They're the Alahayim. They're the angels on the right and left hand side of Yahweh. The Yahweh of hosts. That's what they are. That's who they are. They are persons. Scripture even describes them as, at least the ones on the right-hand side, as very handsome men. It says that in, I believe, in 1st or 2nd Maccabees. They're very handsome. Bro, they stand, think about this. They stand in the presence of the Most High. So they're standing in front of all of his fire that's burning. You got to understand, you have to be equipped to be able to even be in the presence of that kind of power without exploding or being consumed yourself. They're not unattractive beings, bro. That's not how this works. They're not hideous. That's all Hollywood. That's all fucking Esau being a bitch. Okay? This is what's coming to the earth to remove Esau, Edom from power. Because there isn't anybody on the earth right now strong enough to do so. Now, the other nations are going to team up and be used to chip him down and break him down. But it's not that they're breaking down, chipping them down and breaking them down because Yahweh Shai can't handle them. It's just Yahweh. That's the way the Most High wrote the story.
Let me tee up what I think mattered most, and feel free to disagree with that assessment. But the idea that one of our best missiles, a Hellfire missile that usually you can't get away from, didn't work with whatever it was fired at on this one occasion, seemed to be a very big deal. Let's show people what we're talking about, and then I want your perspective on it. All right.
These fucking pink motherfuckers, bro.
So we're showing it, right? And you see the incoming ballistic, Lou. You can help me with this in terms of the jargon. And the thing seems to I thought at first when I saw it that it hit it and it just ricocheted off, end of story. But the people at the hearing were saying, no, that's not what you're seeing. So I want your guys' perspective. What am I missing in this, and why does it matter, Ross?
It matters. G'day, Chris. It matters because that is a Hellfire missile, one of the top missiles in the U.S. military arsenal for combating, surface to air, air to air. And it frankly didn't make a jot of difference to whatever that object is. And that's significant because what it shows is there is a technology that is unhindered by whatever it is that the U.S. is trying to use against it. This is significant. This is obviously something that I think in the past the United States military, the intelligence community have tried to keep from public knowledge. Is this the reason why they don't want us to know about the UAP mystery? I'd love to know Lou's perspective on this.
What you are seeing here is basically some sort of technology that is making our premier missile system completely and utterly useless, if you will. It is making it almost irrelevant. So imagine, for example, let's take away the word UAP and just say this was some sort of adversarial technology, UAP technology from Russia. How do you think that would bode well for the Department of Defense and our national security, knowing that Russia has a capability that completely makes all our missiles completely ineffective? This is a significant problem from a strategic perspective, from a tactical perspective, from a...
You hear what it is said? So you think this motherfucker is the only one that thinks like that? Absolutely not. They all think like this, and the higher you go up, the worse it gets. They know that the chariots are a fucking threat to them because they are weak compared to them, and Esau has to be the hammer of the universe. In his mind, think about it. Look how they're acting with Iran, supposedly having a nuclear weapon. They don't want anyone to be as strong as they are because then they won't be strong anymore. The so-called white man needs his weapons because without his weapons, he's fucking weak. They're weak, you guys. They are fucking weak.
National security perspective, America has a problem right now. Let's face it. The name of this task force is Restoring Public Trust Through UAP Transparency and Whistleblower Protection. This was the title of the hearing for the task force that Luna led. That means we already have a problem. If you have to restore public trust, that means you are already at a disadvantage.
So let's get back out of here. Let's go back to the fucking...
To an ABC News exclusive on the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. House Democrats.
This shit, all of this. You got the so-called white man blaspheming about the chariots because he's not going to say what they are or who they are. He's going to play dumb, which is blasphemy. What's blasphemy? Let's get there, and I'll be done. Look, what's blasphemy? Blasphemy is it's a very bad lie. Blasphemy, and blasphemy. It goes into speaking specifically against the Most High. Okay, impious or profane speaking of God or sacred things. Well, what are the angels? They're sacred things. Both the right and the left hand angels. Even when the archangel Michael was bumping heads with Satan over the body of Moses, did he disrespect or cuss out Satan? No. Did he call Satan out of his name? No. And they were engaged in a disagreement. He said, Yahweh rebuke you. Right? Because Michael Allah understands that Satan's a left-handed power too, bro. Right? And as it recorded, Is it recorded that Satan was cussing out or disrespecting Micah Allah? No, he wasn't. He was just, all Satan was doing was trying to make a presentation about getting that body to create an idol, because that's Satan's functionality on the left-hand side, is to do fucked up shit. He doesn't commit sin. You guys gotta understand, Satan, the real prince demon Satan and all of his powers, they don't commit sin when they do effed up shit. They're the evil expression of Yahweh on the earth. Okay? Micah Allah and all the angels on the right-hand side are the righteous and holy expression of Yahweh on the earth. Okay? We have to understand that. So there's no, but Esau is blaspheming because he's not speaking correctly about these powers. He's trying to control the narrative. Why? Because Isaiah 14 says what? He says, I will be like the Most High. Esau wants to be looked at as God. So he's got to contain all of these activities with his satellite system and the news and the narrative. And this is why you can't just be famous. Everyone that's famous, that's on television, they got to go through a vetting process, because he's not going to let you speak any kind of way over the fucking airwaves. He's got to control the airwaves because he doesn't want this information getting out. Okay, so the blasphemy that Esau is doing against the chariots is seen and defined right here. Impious or profane speaking of God or sacred things. Speaking ill. Impious speech. And so what's the slander? What's the impious speech? When they show you supposed images of aliens. Let me see. Aliens, right? This is what they're telling you. This is what they're telling you is flying. Well, fuck. This is, I guess. I guess there's no fucking. They're saying shit like this. God damn. Here, let's just go here. They're telling you that this is who's flying those things. Aliens. When that's not images. So this is the image they have put in the minds of the earth. These big head fuckers, bro. Okay? This is all Esau. This is all the so-called white man and his theater. Okay? That's blasphemy, because that's not who they are. They don't look like this. The scriptures say they're actually really handsome, and they're very fearsome. You're gonna fall down and freak out if they don't pick you up. You're gonna lose it if one of them shows up in front of you. So I'm gonna end this lesson because I'm kind of going all over the place now. But I pray that this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rakakadas, and double honors to the elders of the great millstone of whom I learned from, and shalom to the holy elect taking this truth to the four corners of the earth. This is your brother Radah. Shalom.